is part of the reason we're all here. He's a big part of the reason. We've got John Willis. I don't feel like I need to say anything about his background, but the way this often goes, just like his YouTube live streams, we're going to talk about what you want to talk about. Handing it over to you, John.
Hello. What I just heard was lifestyle design, right? That's what that sounded a lot like, was lifestyle design, which, you know, Jack says a lot too. I don't know what I'm going to say to you guys. We'll really just talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, and I'll just go from there. I wanted to put these together so that I could get all of these guys. I wanted to see these dogs, and I knew I wasn't going to go there, so how do I get him to bring them here? I knew I wasn't going to go to Jack's place, so how do I get Jack here, right? So that's what this is all about, and it's turned into this. This is the third one. We're going to do a fourth one. Hope all of you come. Usually I just seem really angry. I'm not. I just yell and I say things that I want to say, and because I say those, lesser and lesser people see me because of it, and I keep getting banned and locked down. So just ask me something and we'll go from there. I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
How do you envision this property?
So this right here started as a gravel pit. We drove past this property for 10 years on the way to the gym, and it was locked and you could not see in here. It was overgrown. One day it wasn't locked and they had bush hogged enough that we could drive a truck through there. So we came through. We found a 4x8 sheet of plywood that said Paris Real Estate that had a tree growing through it. We were able to make out the phone number, called them, and they said it's not listed in real estate anymore, but it belongs to Borchard. The dude sitting next to me goes, I know a Borchard. So he called this guy he went to school with, and they said, yeah, my aunt owns this property. This was a bar and grill. It was a nightclub. All through the 90s, all your hair bands, like Twisted Sister played in here, all kinds of country acts played in here. And then I called her and I said, hey, what do you want for this product? She said, $190. I said, I'll give you $120. I didn't have $100, much less $120,000. So she came back, she's like, let me talk. So they came back $160, I said $140, and I said, okay, I'll buy it. And 2 days later, I buy it. So I went to the bank and said, hey, I want to buy this. And they said, what do you have for collateral? And I said, I have all these cars and all this other stuff. And he's like, okay. So then we had the building. We took a construction loan in against the building after about 6 months. And we built it out kind of how you see. The plan never was to put the company in here. When I bought the property, I just thought we would do some welding and, I don't know, maybe keep a tractor here and the kids could ride dirt bikes. When we started building it out, we moved from the property up the road, about a half mile up there. We still have that place. We put everything under one roof, and a lot of our business stuff got a lot easier because everything was in one place. Facebook, social media, guys have no filter because they think they can't choke you. You can't choke them, right? You won't knock their teeth out through the internet. So when guys would say things like they would email my wife and go, hey bitch, how come my stuff hasn't shipped out? I would write out what they said and listen to it, make sure I got it right, and I would type it out and put it on Facebook, and I would tag him in it. And I'd say, hey, tell this guy what you think about calling my wife at 11 o'clock on a Friday night when he just ordered this shit Friday afternoon. So then I'd use his name as a discount code and give him 20% off, but you had to tag him with your order number. So we never launched the campaign. I did that part of it, but they went way beyond that, right? They would drop his 5-star rating to 1 star if he had a business. He would have to change his account, completely lock out his social media accounts. But people liked that. So when I did it the first time Friday, I forgot all about it by Saturday. And when I finally looked at it, there was like 3,000 comments on there. So a couple of them were, you can't do that to a customer. Well, clearly I can, I just did it. And most of them were, I wish my boss would stand up for us like that, or I wish we could do that. So I just kept doing it, and because of that, I made millions and millions of dollars very, very quickly because of the eyeballs. And social media, the way you know it doesn't work is because it just stopped working, right? And it's all the algorithms. So nowadays I just say things, and the things I've said for 10 years on social media, they go back and hit me for stuff from 48 months ago. and lock you down. Like I used to do a live feed at 9 o'clock every morning on a stair stepper. And in 5 minutes, I'd have 5,000 people on to talk to me while I did cardio. Nowadays, I do a live feed and I get 100 people. A couple days ago, 16 comments on YouTube Live, 9 o'clock at night, every single night. And I said, hey, there's no comments, so I'm gonna jump to Facebook. Immediately, 100 dudes jump on. They're like, hey, we were on your live feed. We physically couldn't comment. So when you go to my YouTube channel during a live, a lot of times it will not even show you that I'm live. My wife sends an email out through a text message on our text app or puts it in some of our private groups. So guys are able to always click in, but now it's come to the point where they can no longer comment. So what do you do with that? How do you and it's addiction, right? You're very addicted to making fast, easy money. It's just like social media stuff, especially like TikTok. If you guys, any of you guys in business, if you're not on TikTok, TikTok is growing. My TikTok account is doubling every month. And I'm not trying at all with TikTok. But it's like when that thumbnail, right? It's very addictive. When you see the titties and they click on it, that once you do that, or once you use that clickbait, oh my God, the world's ending, you always have to do that for your algorithm to continue to do that. So, I don't know, did I answer your question?
Okay, and if people have questions, line up over here and come to me, just saying, except for the next question right now. Who has the next question?
Okay, I'm done.
Where did you get your start? How did you get your initial, this is
We'll
what
come
I
over
want
here
to
and
do?
line up, please.
35 years ago. So I thought I wanted to go in the Navy, and that didn't happen. I got arrested at 17 and a half years old with 22 kilos of cocaine in a vehicle and some guns. Went to juvenile hall, tried as an adult, because in adult court that wasn't any big deal compared to juvenile. Turned 18, came home from juvenile hall. 3 years of probation. I had to fill out some forms for a few months, and they're like, hey, you don't have to do this anymore, just don't get in trouble. So that was that. That was the end of probation. Never expunged that, never did anything with it. And just kind of fell into this deal. My cousin was going through buds at the time. We met this guy who sewed some stuff. We were doing gun shows and printing t-shirts, taking them to a gun show. And this guy had some gear. So I took some of his gear to the gun show and took orders on his gear and sold $2,000 worth of his stuff. Came back, I'm like, I have $2,000, you make this, I'll continue to sell it. And he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that, I'm building parachutes. I go, well, what am I gonna do? He goes, well, you're gonna refund that money. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. He's like, then you better learn how to sew. So I rented a sewing machine, and he came over and showed me how to thread the sewing machine and then left. And then the sewing machine ran out of thread, and I waited a couple more weeks for Mike to show back up. And I built a couple little things. I went to school with some guys that were doing some explosive ordnance disposal stuff. They did a lot of stuff with the Navy, with the SEAL teams. So I'm building very, very raw trash, right? And they come over and they're like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? So we started doing that. And they just kept giving me orders, and I kept building poor quality. Well, I mean, it held together because we just put so much thread in it. There was no way it was going to come apart. But it was very rough. So any agency, any law enforcement, any police agency that did any anti-drug stuff could get federal grant money and go through SEAL weapons school. So all the SWAT teams started seeing all our stuff on all these SEALs. So they're coming around, and I sleep, I sew all night, and then I sleep till 10, 11 in the morning. And I'd open the door, and there'd be a sheriff's department car, and I'm like, shit, they're after me. Like, what are they? So I'm dodging the cops for like 6 months, trying not to, I'm definitely not calling them back. And one night I'm in the garage, and they throw the garage door open, and there's a bunch of cops. I'm like, hey, you got me. They're like, you're a hard guy to get a hold of. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of on purpose. Like, we want you to build some stuff. So we started building their stuff as a byproduct of that. The airsoft industry, there's like airsoft BB guns, in Japan, they can't own real firearms. If you want to have a gun, you can keep, I believe it's a 22 is the first gun you buy. It stays in a locker at the gun shop. But they can buy airsoft guns, which weigh the same, function very similar, and you can shoot each other with them. And they do big enactments, like they have helicopters that fly in and fast boats and all kinds of shit. So as a byproduct, building stuff for NSW, Naval Specialist SEAL teams, they wanted our stuff. So because a platoon would come in and we would do some design or some changeover, they would go out and go to like Chocolate Mountains and do aircraft under pop, right? So these guys would take pictures from the jets, they're doing fast movers and stuff. We would get those photos of our gear on those guys, and we would send them to Japan. And then Japan, it would be a bid and a fight the next morning. Whoever was going to buy this, we're only going to build 100 pieces. Whoever buys it, you have to buy them all. So we started doing that. And then they started getting put in magazines, and the same guys doing the magazines for those photos also worked in the States and started putting their stuff all over the cover. Nobody knew who we were. Our pictures were just in every magazine. So guys started seeking us out. So it just kind of went from there. It's evolved into this now. I moved to Tennessee to work with 3 employees and just do custom stuff, just one-off custom stuff for dudes. And never was I going to do this again until the social media thing really took off. We weren't going to try to scale or do anything different. So for the last 2 years, really, I guess it's been 3 years now, when the CUFA started, we kind of thought, well, maybe there's something to this, so we started putting in infrastructure and concrete blocks and extra lighting and all kinds of stuff. But I've really transitioned my life into a place that I don't have to have this to be able to live and do this. So we have parties, we have pretty good sized parties. Guys come from all over the world, bands and these food trucks and machine guns and all kinds of shit. During COVID, we never locked down. Like, that never happened here. That, like, our answer is, you don't have enough guns, you better come back with more agencies. Like, for real. Like, that conversation has been had. So we just did good shit, and we bought in. My concern was postage was going to shut off. My concern was they were going to lock down state lines. We weren't going to have UPS coming in. We wouldn't have USPS. We ship 2,000 boxes a week out of here, individual to consumer. So if you turn off my shipping, we can't ship. We're done, right? So how do we still employ all my guys and my people? We brought in a row house. We figured food. Everybody needs to eat. We can barter. We can trade. We brought in a wood processing outfit. We brought in tractors to move wood. We just brought in the capability to still employ my guys. Almost every dude that works here, most of my ladies that sew, they live within 10 minutes to 45 minutes. We can still employ you if you choose to. Farm stuff, that's your option. My guys that work here, we don't hire local guys, because local guys for the most part can stay home at mom's house on Monday when they've drunk too much. My guys that work for me, they've moved here from California, Texas, Alaska. They have a vested interest and they know what's going on. If a dude packs his shit up in a car and comes here from Alaska, he's probably watched a lot of my videos and he knows kind of what I'm about. So those dudes, they just have staying power.